Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1.5 EU Championship. We're today for the Dutch Grand Prix and it's raining once again in sprint qualifying. We've got Jesse Mann currently on pole position. Jericho Willis and Samax on our higher tier drivers. It's Terence and Isaac on track who are competing. However, Isaac on track now taking the top spot in the Racing Bulls. Can they take it for the rest of the lap? Giacomo down the order. They will not be able to compete for a qualifying position as they've already retired from the session. Isaac on track though, around the final few corners. Terence jumps up to P1. Can Terence, the championship leader, give it a go as they've managed to nail the last two corners up to the line? Is the straight line speed gonna be there for them? No, Jesse Mann, brilliant comeback, has just got it on the line. 22.590. Wow, absolutely incredible stuff to take it away from Terence. Jesse Mann was right there earlier on. They dropped back, but it all worked out in the end. Isaac on track down to P4 in the final moments. Really struggling there in the final corner, I guess, to get a good exit. That's a hell of a run all the way to the line, so they must have had a really poor final corner. But it's only a one-shot quali. It's the sprint race up next, and we've still got our main race to go. It's Jesse Mann on pole position, Terence in P2, and Yinoldi in P3. The rest of the grid is as follows, and we go through the race director just in case if we need it, and we'll see you in a bit for the sprint race. Ready, hold, go! Whoa, go! Who's gonna get it into turn one? We're finally away! And a brilliant start from Jesse Mann. Terence cannot compete. It's three wide. Oh, further behind the other Sauber car, almost being sandwiched. Somehow they got away with it due to a very fortunate time ghosting moment. We've got Elwain right behind here, P6, now trying to make it P5 as they go for the switchback, and surely it's going to be theirs. They'll go to the outside line. They'll have the wide line. They'll have the inside. They'll go back to the outside, but it's already the move complete before turn 7, the downhill section. A brilliant start from the top two. Yinoldi also being right there, and Isaac on track staying where they are. The top four stay where they are. Then there's some switches further behind. We've got Mark Tunick now trying to put the pressure on Yellowek, but nothing can come of it. Giacomo has rejoined the session. Hopefully they can get involved in this race. It's Mark Tunick now being overtaken by Maverick as Maverick goes in front. The Racing Bulls of Sanaxon trying to make progress. The higher tier drivers Sanaxon and Jericho Willis following each other already further up the order in the opening laps, and that is a disconnected Giacomo trying to join back. Unfortunately, Dimsky has had a bit of an issue off the start, and so has Edveer, who's lost their front wing in the early stages. But it is only the sprint race, lap 2 out of 12. We've still got a way to go, and it's a purple first sector there for Jesse Mann as Terence chases them down. Loving this bit of competition up front. They've broken away slightly. Yinoldi, can they have a go at getting involved in this one? I do wonder what the tyre situation is from all these drivers. There you go. Yinoldi is looking to get involved in this in a few laps time to try and have the advantage in the final stages. As we saw yesterday, it did work out quite nicely for Zingy and Nifoyan, whereas according to Charlie, it didn't quite work the same way, although they had phenomenal pace by taking that pole position lap. Elwain now to P4 as more progress is made. Yellowick down to P12, having an issue, already 8 seconds behind, which is such a shame as they had a decent start. The top two have DRS off one another and they're following each other. Elwain will catch up nicely. It's Isaac on track though who's going to be under threat from a few cars, and there's lots of racing going on. His teammate almost goes into the back of him, and Sir Maxon, who's had some time away from racing, has definitely got a few braking points to remember, because that was incredibly close. Almost went all horribly wrong. Fortunately, we're all good to go and we don't have any more issues. It's Yellowick into the pit lane. It's Damsky having an issue as they are stuck for some reason. And I'm not entirely sure what the plan is here, but they might end up getting themselves disqualified. Nope, they've retired from the session. Some sort of technical issue that looks like there from Damsky. There's really much to explain other than that. It's Terence and Jesse Man once again up front, and Terence will try and use their tyre saving technique to give themselves the advantage later on, although Yanordi's going to try and do something a bit different as they work together with Elwain, who takes the position, and the train could work out nicely. This could drag Yanordi with them, and they can make use of the medium tyres advantage at this stage of the Grand Prix. We've got Maverick leading the train just behind these guys on the medium tyre. Also, Isaac on track and Samaxon, they're looking to try and follow along with this hard tyre. Mark Tunick directly behind. Jericho Willis making progress up the hill. A place on the circuit which they had some moments at yesterday, so they're trying to make progress and not lose positions as they may have done a couple of times, making progress and losing positions yesterday on that very corner, but they managed to conquer it this time quite nicely, and it's now a split already. Yanordi's lost that DRS to Elwain, who's pushing massively to get involved in the battle up front, and we'll see if anything is going to come of it. Will we see Terence challenge for the first time to go for the move? Well, I don't think they're in a rush to, as they stick within DRS range and they stick in the dirty air, and for some reason in the F1 game this year and last year, if you stay within dirty air closely behind another car, you can save your tyres. It's racing hard though, much further behind as Sir Maxon goes for the move on the inside of Maverick, and they get the job done. It's Jericho Willis trying to follow that move as well just a few corners later as they have a look at Isaac on track. Isaac competing for pole position in the one shot, didn't quite get the job done. It's once again another threat from Jericho Willis, who goes for the late move. There's contact as they go towards turn 7, but they eventually do decide where they're going to settle on track, and now Mark Tunick will have an opportunity to catch up and get within DRS range. Although they've gone very wide on the curve there, they might have just slowed themselves down very slightly. And we've got Charlie directly behind, looking to do something as well. There's the DRS available for Mark Tunick, as they're hoping to get back that DRS for when they get to the start-finish straight. Now looking over to the two Red Bulls who are hunting down the Sauber of Yesuman. They are going to be feisty and furious and pushing each other to the limit. Terence surely has to go for a move this time around. No, they once again will not, and I will say once again, I don't think they're concerned about that. They don't want their teammate Elwain to be fighting them at this stage. We've got Yanoldi, who is a little bit further behind. They do need to try and keep pushing to the absolute maximum, otherwise they might end up losing out on the overall plan as they're halfway through this sprint race, and their advantage will come in the final laps of the Grand Prix of the sprint race. So Max on P5, looking to make some more progress. The champion from 2 seasons ago now. And team's champion from last season, Ulrika Willis, directly behind these guys, joined LSI at the same time and climbed through the ranks. And now they're both higher tier drivers, once again competing in their old tier, and there's contact with the wall for Maverick. Unfortunately, a reset to track will gain them 10-second time penalty, and what a shame for that one to go like that. And there you go, the understeer will kick in and chuck you all over the circuit. What a shame. Lap 6 out of 12, and we have a big moment right there. It's Yanaldi and Samaxon. Who will continue. I'm just going to have to double check something. I'll be right back. And I am back. I do apologise for the delay. It looks like it's been a brilliant race since I've been away. Lap 10 out of 12. So Maxwell makes their way up the order. But it's Elwain and Jesse Man who are involved in the fight for the win, as Terence has had some sort of problem and they haven't been able to do the same thing. Yinaldi also on that hard tyre, it hasn't kicked in, but Jericho Willis will give Terence a bit of company. Now Elwain's trying to psych the move up here as we get to the penultimate lap of the sprint race in Zandvoort. There's another issue for Maverick, unfortunately, who has more problems after the damage earlier on. They did make that pit stop, but unfortunately it wasn't enough as they've had that spin once more. Jesse Man holding on for so long so far from pole position, looking to try and convert it, but it's not easy and it's been hunted all the way. Jericho Willis made that move on Terence and they've been able to catch up to the cars in front as well. They want to try and fight with Samaxon, as they really can't really do much about the battle here between the two up front who are competing for the victory. Jesse Man, P1, they're going to defend. They've got the track position. Will it be enough? I don't quite know. I think Elwain's going to have the strongest choice in this battle. DRS, ERS, it's going to be blasted by both drivers all the way to the first corner. Is it going to be the advantage? Is it going to be enough for the Red Bull car? Are they going to send it to the inside? They will not. They will back off. Out of all of that, all the battery used, all the energy deployed, it's not going to be enough, and I don't think there's going to be another opportunity to make another move like that. Further behind, the battles are all a little bit spread out, although we do see Edvir and Yellowek, who are competing for effectively what's P9, considering the higher tier drivers, just a little bit further back, and we'll see what they can do towards the end. It's Jesse Man and Elwain who continue up front, but with the ERS being used, I don't think there's going to be a change. And Jesse Man on debut in LSI is going to take victory here in the sprint race after a brilliant pole position. Samaxon is definitely putting the pressure on, although not exactly trying to. They just want to stay ahead of Jericho Willis and avoid competing with the top two. Jesse Man around the final corner, and they've given a phenomenal race. They will take it, taking P1 in the sprint. Jesse Man wins the Dutch Grand Prix sprint event, and we've got Elwain in P2. Samaxon, Jericho Willis, then Terence across the line for P5 with Yinaldi in P6. And then we'll see Isaac on track on P7, looking for a second opportunity in the main race. Of course, promoted 2 positions due to the higher tier drivers of Samaxon and Jericho Willis. So that will be a P5 to their name. Mark Tunick in P8, they cross the line a bit further behind, and then it will be Crazy Charlie Bear in P9, followed by it will be Yellowek, as the disconnected car of Giacomollon will not be classed, and then Edvir just a bit further behind as well. They've had a nice little race to the end. Maverick with the damage, they finally crossed the line there. Lovely stuff, and I do apologise for the disturbance in the commentary. We'll try and make sure that that's all sorted for later on, and we shouldn't have any issues. But before that, we'll go through the results, and then we'll go for the lobby restart. It's Jesse Man who takes the win in the sprint race. We've got Elwain in P2, Samaxon, Jericho Willis, Terence Yinaldi, Isaac on track, Mark Tunick, Crazy Charlie Bear, Giacomollon, Yellowek, Maverick, Edvir, and Dimesky, with the race director on your screen right now, just in case, because we might need it. And we'll be back for the main race qualifying session in about 10 minutes. Hello everyone and welcome back to LSI. We're finally here for the main race qualifying session and we've got a few minutes done but a fair few minutes left as well. It's Terence on top of the times with Edvir in P2, but it's immediately taken away as Elwain crosses the line to take an 8.800 lap time. Edvir, the home hero, looking to try and get a better result after a pretty miserable sprint race there. Maverick in P4, Martunik in P5. The Alpine looking to do their best in this one. And Martunik just physically ahead on track, but moments behind on the timing sheets. Gianoldi in the pit lane. Yellowek is currently on an outlap. And so is Crazy Charlie Bird. We've got the pit stop for Edvir. And we're going to see what Terence can do in their second run as they open up the DRS, go nice and wide on the beginning of the lap, and then they cross the line to go to turn one, downshifting all the way as they bleed it towards the inside, using the bank section on the left hand side tyres to their advantage, continuing through the bank section. Now it's the right hand side which will be lent upon, up through the gears on the throttle, up the hill, using it as traction to work with you, and then down the hill, downshifting to sixth, no brakes, just a slight downshift, scrubs enough speed off through the next following right-handers doing a similar thing, and then braking for turn 10 up to turn 10 now, actually I should say. That was turn 9 previously, towards turn 11 at the end of the DRS straight. Hard braking as the curb appears on your left hand side, trying to avoid the sausage curb. It will throw you off if you hit it too much. Trying to get that oversteer as you get a lot of understeer through turn 12, but the final two corners come upon you with DRS open. The final banking section across the line for Terence. What's it going to be? And it's going to be an improvement, a 9.172 ahead of Edvir, but still a bit of a way to get to their teammate Elwain, who has put in a mega lap at this point of the session. 6 minutes on the clock. There's still time to improve. Yellowek and P7 at the moment as they go up the hill. Sorry, no, not up the hill. They're in the final sector. They come towards the braking zone at the end of the DRS straight, and they're hoping that the Mercedes would get out the way. Not in that kind of way. It did eventually move, but it was just a little bit of a complicated procedure. DRS open and up to the line, blasting the ERS as much as there can be, and that is a 5, almost 6/10 improvement for Yellowek to P4 ahead of Edvir. A 9.181 margins away from Terence's lap time, and Jesse Mann's lap time for that matter as well, who has just put in another lap. And it's actually Terence and Jesse Mann both on 2-lap-old tyres at this stage. I think Terence might be going again on... No, they're not. They are going into the pit lane. 2-lap-old tyres, though, isn't going to gain you the maximum time around a circuit that is tyre hungry. So that's good news for the likes of Jesse Mann and Terence as well, because they should be able to gain a little bit more from their next laps. Chichas in P13, they cross the line to finish their first qualifying run. It's a P11, a 12.916 for their lap to put them on the board. We've got Jericho, Willis, Samakson and Durf, all as higher tier drivers, so they'll be scoring different point systems. Jocko Mollen rejoining once again after a few issues they've had. Hopefully they can do something in this race to give us something to watch rather than the disconnecting issues that they have had. It's Samakson out on track on the soft tyres now, but we will go and watch on board with Maverick in the Alpine, as they had some good pace at the scene, but unfortunately finding the wall saw their front wing lost, and the momentum kind of just fell away from there on. And it didn't get any easier Now, having a quick look at the standings, it's Terence who leads the way. 20 points coming into the Dutch Grand Prix. Obviously the sprint race has been a thing, but with Terence and Elwain being high up there, it's still going to be Terence leading the championship just by a couple of points now. Red Bull will be very, very strong. Unaldi in P3 with 14 points. Of course, the sprint race has changed that now. Then Mark Tunick, Isaac on track, Yellowek, Simon S, K-Faz, and Vitkonen. A few further down the order. No points for Jokumolon or Chuchus or Crazy Charlie there, so they're looking to try and score today for the first time. Maverick out on track. P11 for them in the end of the last race. No points, but in the sprint race they also missed out. Can they find themselves a better chance here today to get what they're looking for? Into the final sector and across the sector line, 2 minutes on the clock, almost a tenth up. This is good news for the Alpine car. Oh, a bit of oversteer on the very far exit of the corner. They're still on cue to beat Mark Tunick, but with another messy corner up to the line, it could be compromised. Or can they get Edveer? They just miss out on Edveer in the end, but they do manage to jump ahead of Mark Tunick, who, by the way, is on an outlap to try and take that position back if they can. The former Ferrari driver, that is, trying to do something. And I want to see the racing ball car of Isaac on track as they start their final run of the session. Many drivers starting their final runs. It's actually Jesse Man who is going to be the first one to finish, and we will watch on board with the Sauber, currently on top. And they're actually going to slow down, and they're going again, so they will wait. So we'll go back to Isaac, who's currently sitting P9, and they are pushing with the battery for this lap, their final run in the session. Down here they go, shifting down pretty late on. That's going to possibly compromise them, but maybe if they were comfortable with not shifting down so early, then it could work out. Getting that lovely rotation through the second right-hander coming into the left as they open up the steering to the curb and getting that throttle down, using half their battery, just over it now, and then they're still on with the battery as they come into the corner, which is going to be very difficult for them on the throttle, but then they blast it once more into the final few corners, all the way up to the line. DRS is open. What's it going to be for Isaac? They go a little bit too far to the right on the grass. Still an improvement on board, and it will be a 2/10 improvement, but no position will be gained. P9 it is for Isaac. The Red Bull of Terence crosses the line, and that's going to be it for Terence. A P3, unless they are going again. They are going again. They will get another opportunity. It's the flag for Yellowek. It's the flag for many cars at the very back of the field. But Elwain crossing the line to see what they can do, and they improve further on their pole time. 1.5 tenths, just over, and 8.642. Is it going to be enough? Jesse Man makes a mistake. Oh, and it's all over for the Sauber. They will not be able to compete for the pole position lap time. Terence, can they do something about it instead? We'll see what they can do into the next sector. They've got half their battery still remaining in this lap. DRS available. And there it is, the sector line coming up by 1/10 of a second. It would get them close, but 4 tenths still needed to be gained in this final sector alone. Pulling it very tight to the left-hand side there before getting to this corner, and it might have worked out for them. Blasting the battery up to the line, the final opportunity in qualifying here for Terence, and it's going to be an improvement to P2 to make it a 1-2 in qualifying. Yinaldi, will they be able to upset anything from that? DRS is off and the lap is done. It is Elwain on pole position, and Red Bull continue this phenomenal form. This time it is the Brit on top. Lovely stuff indeed. A 1-2 for the Austrian outfit. Jesse Man just making that mistake. Isn't going to be happy. They might have thought that it was there, but to be fair, almost 0.4 of a second advantage to the rest of the field. Going to feel pretty good to Elwayne, and they'll be starting in clean air rather than a bit further down the order as they did in the sprint race. It's Elwayne on pole position by over 3.5 of a second. It's Terence in P2 and Jesse Man in P3. This is the rest of the grid. This is the race director, and we'll be back in a minute for the race. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? A brilliant start once again from the pole sitter. This time Elwayne will take it away. Terence in P2, oh no! Jesse Man off for the start. Such a promising qualifying session and sprint race. It will not go so well in the opening corners. I do not believe it. Yellowek now fending for the Sauber team alone. Up front, Mark Tunick, P4, Edvir, P5, Maverick, Isaac and Crazy Charlie Bear right there. We've got Sir Maxon making progress as Yanaldi is down in P10. Out of all of that, I don't know what happened to them. Jesse Man is back into this race, but they've got a bit of work to do. Unfortunately, Giacomo will not be able to compete in this race. It's side by side as Jericho Willis looks to try and make more progress, but that's surely never going to work. The Mercedes was right there on the outside. Jericho Willis still trying to make it work, and that is a very close call and a few lucky drivers to still be in this race. Oh, and Verf just hitting that curb a little bit awkwardly, almost launched themselves into the side of the Aston Martin. They do have to give in there. Jesse Man, after all of this battling, has been able to catch up once again to the pack. But look at this. Red Bull have already extended a second gap to the rest of the field. Are they going to be able to carry that? Well, Terence just not the best corner at turn one. They've lost time to their teammate, and Yellowek has managed to catch up, but you get to the next part of the circuit and it's changed back again. I don't know where to look and I don't know what to expect. Yellowek having a P4 qualifying position last time around in Monza, and a very good position right here. They are showing some good promise, some good pace. Maverick once again leading a pack of cars, and they're all behind him right now. It looks very intense for them to deal with, and it's going to be side-by-side racing. Once again, it's Charlie Bear and Isaac on track, looking to maybe go for a switchback, but not quite able to pull it off. Isaac on track will stay ahead. It's going to be Verf looking to the outside, but they just have to wait for now. They can't find a better opportunity to get through on the Mercedes. And Rinaldi watching this happen just in front as well. Can Verf use their experience to get the job done? And it looks like they're going to try and get it done even before... Oh, whoa, no! No, no, no! How has that just happened? A massive, massive crash. And Verf is out of the race. Jericho Willis was round. There was front wing damage, and all of a sudden, Crazy Charlie Bear moved across the circuit, and Verf is out of the Grand Prix on lap 3. The safety car's out. The leader has passed the safety car, so they will all go for an extra lap. Jericho Willis will get a front wing repair, and so will Crazy Charlie Bear. But Verf is out of this race with one of the biggest crashes that we have had in LSI for a long time regarding airtime. I don't know what to say. The most dramatic way to end the Grand Prix in such early laps as well. Incredibly frustrating for Verf, who wasn't able to make it to the sprint race due to the driver numbers. They were then invited, and they eventually got in the qualifying and the main race. It's all over now. Airwane's got to make a decision. What are they going to do? Pit stop wise, strategy wise, it's a stay out call, the obvious one for sure. But no, it's not going to be for a few cars behind us. So Max looks to dive to the inside line and go into the pits. What tyre are they going to go for? I'm very curious to see how this one works out. Jesse Man looking for maybe just some sort of different strategy to get themselves back into this race. The hard tyre is the call. Is it just going to be an aggressive two-stop strategy from Samaxon at this stage? I don't know. Jesse Man doing the same thing. Crazy Charlie Bear and Jericho Willis have already pitted onto fresh hard tyres. Now, we saw it was a possible one-stop yesterday, but not without risking a puncture. Doing a two-stop is going to be the safer bet. But with a safety car and with so many people not pitting, if you're at least the top 5, maybe even top 6, staying out and being on this medium tyre isn't a bad idea, because the safety car will help you use less of your tyres, and you'll be able to get a little bit further into the race without worrying about a puncture. It's lap 4 out of 36. There's still a long way to go in this Grand Prix. Now we wait for the drivers to catch up, as it will be just at the back at the moment. And I think we might end up going racing on the following lap. So it might be that we go racing on lap 7. So we'll do one more lap under the safety car. And whether Chuchus catches up or not, I think we'll just be going regardless. I'm going to assume they will have the ability to catch up to the pack. And we'll go through the order as we see the position gained and lost from many drivers. Elwayne and Terence hold it as they are. Mark Tunix made 2 places from the start to P3. We've got Yellowek in P4, Edvir, Maverick, Isaac on track, and Yinaldi in P8. who has managed to make some progress from a difficult start. So Maxon in P9, the higher tier driver, the first higher tier driver on the grid at this stage. Yesiman in P10 after having that big off in the opening corner. And then we've got Crazy Charlie Bear in P11, we've got Jericho Willis, Jeffrey Mullen and Chuchus in P14. That is Yinaldi into the pit lane once more. That is an interesting call that I didn't expect to see. And it's going to be Somaxon with a 10-second time penalty for a severe collision. Do they have damage? Or is it just going to be a time penalty thing to sort out later? I don't know how that's just happened. Because it was Charlie who had the contact, I believe. There it is. Damage to Charlie's car. I don't know how they've managed to overtake that many cars to crash into Somaxon. But it's happened. There's not much we can do about that. Looking well on. AI car is slightly in the way, but hopefully it doesn't cause too many problems. Got to make sure that you can't actually overtake that ghost car. The pit stop for Yinaldi was an interesting one. I have a feeling that they're going to try and take these tyres 30 laps into the race, which would not work. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, unless there was damage on that car, they've gone for that extra pit stop and dropped quite far behind. Elwain will lead the way on the safety car restart. Terence is the one to react. The championship leaders right here looking very strong. The safety car comes around the bank section and heads towards the pit lane. We can't go just yet. And there it is, the pit lane entry is upon them. We can go racing at any point. Elwain controls it for now. You'll hear the engines go, and there it is. We go racing once again, and Terence did not react well at all. It can't be an overtake made by Mark Tunick until the line, but they might give it a shot. And under braking, no, they tuck back into the slipstream. But that was a brilliant, brilliant start from Elwain, who tricked their teammate like there's no... I don't believe it. Absolutely incredible stuff there. Elwain, perfect starting conditions. Edgar in P5, the last of the medium tyre runners who haven't pitted. Maverick's going to have a bit of an advantage. I say that though, Somaxon has got the job done sooner than Maverick's been able to do it on the medium tyre runner. They're going to try and hold it around the inside line. It's never going to work, and Somaxon is through. Jericho Willis also making progress on these fresh tyres as well. It's Isaac on track in P9 at the moment. They've got that medium tyre. They're going to be struggling in a few laps time. A bit further behind, it's Jesse who also makes that progress, but they've got damage on that car. What's happened to them? A big collision surely has really been a bit of a struggle. There was all of a sudden a sudden slowdown there from Jesse Man. I'm not entirely sure what was going on, but they just have that damage that's slowing them down so significantly, it looks like. And they're doing what they can, but they're going to go straight into the... Nope, they're not going into the pit lane. They're still racing it out with this damage on circuit. The outside line is their call of choice. The switchback is not available, and those tyres, sorry, that front wing is definitely not going to be easy to manage. Elwain leads the way with a perfect start. We've got Edgar and Somaxon who battled it out for a fair few corners. They continue to do so. And once again, another overtake effectively completed at turn 7 for Somaxon. It seems to be quite a popular spot in this race. A spot where you can get an overtake done without having DRS. It's a bit unorthodox, but at a circuit like this, you need to do unorthodox things to make progress quickly in the race. Jericho Willis, the other McLaren, trying to get involved in this battle sooner rather than later to make use of their strategy advantage. Yellowek in P4, they don't have DRS of the car ahead. Mark Tunick is being dragged along with Terence, who is, by the way, keeping up with their teammate but not making progress. It is the move for Somaxon. It is going to also be an overtake attempt here for Jericho Willis on Edveer, but they just don't get the job done and they slot in behind. They are looking just to put the pressure on inside, outside, left and right. Is it going to be under traction? Up the hill. Absolutely phenomenal stuff, and the pace is there, the ERS is there, the move is done, and the experience from yesterday is definitely going to help them out very nicely to be able to make that move securely. Their next target is the Sauber, and they want to try and get that done sooner rather than later if they want to follow Samaxon through. Samaxon is only breaking away. We might see the move already done. Here we go, Jericho Willis not waiting around for anyone at all. Wow, absolutely brilliant stuff. The aggression is definitely there, and they're hoping that Samaxon has a bit of trouble getting through the cars in front, and that there are a few battles here and there that slow them down. But Samaxon, so close already, looks like they're going to go for the early overtake, putting the pressure on the Williams, but the Williams is now having to pressure the Red Bull, so it's really backfired on them, and now they've just used an entire battery to try and get an overtake that has failed. And we'll now see Jericho Willis catch up in the following corners, 10th after 10th after 10th. And there they are, 1.1 seconds, not too far away. You can see them in the background of the camera shot right there. And Samaxon will still have to just sit behind and allow Jericho to catch up, as they are helpless with anything. The tyre advantage is definitely kicking in now for these two in this race. Samaxon looking hungry, but it's not their tier. They are a higher tier driver after all. They do have to sit behind and only make overtakes if they think they can really get them done safely. 1.9 seconds, Terence and Erwin are split by. The pressure's still on by Mark Tunick, but Terence is looking for the longer picture in this race, as it is going to be a tyre game, and we know Terence is king at the tyre management game. It is going to be the overtake to the inside line here, this time for Samaxon. Are they going to be able to get the job done? Mark Tunick doesn't want to give in, but Samaxon does get it. Now Jericho Willis is hoping that Samaxon doesn't make quick progress of Terence, so they can try and have a go on the Williams as well. Are they going to go for a favourite overtaking opportunity for a few higher tier drivers so far? They are, and it will be towards turn 7 where they get the job done. That is a retirement in the pit lane, unfortunately for Jesse Man, not going to take it to the end of the Grand Prix. Such a shame, with such a good performance in the sprint race, taking that victory. A little bit further behind, or sorry, in front, is Jericho Willis, now making that move and still putting the pressure on Samaxon. DRS, ERS, there's the move to the left hand side as Terence lets them go. Are they going to let Jericho Willis go as well? They don't. They do not. I think Terence is looking for the DRS here on Samaxon. They want the DRS to try and make sure that they secure this move and stay ahead of Jericho Willis. Watch this. ERS going to be blasted now to try and stay in front of the McLaren, and they'll get dragged along by Samaxon. I think they probably lost a bit more time than they actually gained. Jericho Willis is not able to make that move, and all they've effectively done is prevented Jericho Willis from making that move. That's it. That is the only benefit right here. Maybe if they can hold on to DRS for the rest of the lap, they might be able to do a bit more and make this strategic call a bit more effective, but I don't see how that's going to happen with the tyre advantage. And Samaxon being in control of that car. That being said, not exactly far away from getting that DRS range. I think they just missed out in the end, and it will be job done from Samaxon. A good effort though. Samaxon now is hunting down Elwain, however, and it is going to cause a bit of a headache for the Brit. So maybe Terence was looking to try and get one car at least, putting some pressure on their teammate, see if they can force them into a mistake. Here we go. Jericho Willis is going to be looking at making that move. Mark Tunick will watch the battle happen in front. Elwain decides to dive into the pit lane early on, and there is Terence staying out with Jericho making that move. I say early on, this is a fairly standard pit stop window for the one stop, so I wouldn't really say that at all. As I come track, unfortunately, speeding into the pit lane, a very difficult pit entry here that we have in Zandvoort, as the bumpy surface on entry can really catch you out. Now, are we going to see any punctures? From Jericho Willis and Sir Maxon, no. From Terence, considering they are the tyre whisperer, it's probably going to be a no. So Mark Tunick is the next car to really look at for possible tyre issues. And that's nothing against Mark Tunick, but Terence just does have the reputation of being able to take their tyres for long distances, as they did last season in Australia, and just found that pace towards the end of the race to take that victory. Starting to lose count of how many victories they have had. They've got 2 at Monza, I know that for sure. They've got 1 this season. They're looking to try and make it 2 out of 2. If you, of course, take the sprint races out, as you usually do when you think of a win streak. There is Yellowek, and you know he's switching positions as Yellowek is going fully aggressive. It's never going to work. Deeming dragging is really going to affect these guys quite badly. They've got to give a bit more space to take it to the end of the Grand Prix, otherwise someone's going to end up in the wall. They do keep it together eventually, and Yellowek just has to wait behind. They're on that medium tyre, doing a very good job. See where they are, Yunoli makes that progress. They pitted earlier on, of course, actually. Just remembering back to it. And there you can see the tyres are dead for the Sauber car. Yunoli at the back of the pack just earlier on. And there, surely a puncture. But no, not quite. It is just severely worn tyres here for Yellowek. So difficult to deal with. And I would expect to see them dive into the pit lane. Will we see Mark Tunick into the pit lane as well? We won't. They continue as Terence continues as well. No pit stop from Yellowek despite a big snap of uncontrollable oversteer. Maverick does make the pit stop. Cool. But on the other tyre. Interestingly, Maverick has just decided to go from the hard compound, pit on a medium compound pit stop window, and fit a medium to go longer into the race. They must be going for a 2-stop strategy here. Edvir on their hards at this stage, looking to see if they can try and come back from anything in this race. It's not over until it's over. Chuchus and P13. They've also got their fresh tyres on for this race. So Maxon leads the way, the higher tier driver, driving perfectly out in front. Jericho Willis trying to hunt them down. We've got Terence staying out once more on these tyres, and there's the puncture. There is the puncture. Surely that's a puncture. I do not believe it. Somehow Mark Tunick is still in this race. They've just made major contact with that wall after losing it on the bank section, and is still in this race. I don't think they've got damage. A hard compound tyre is their choice, and they don't have damage. How did that just happen? Unless there's a visual glitch that I am not seeing right with my eyes. That's quite possibly the most mysterious thing I've seen in league racing since Stefan Armour. Wow. Isaac on track in P8, seeing a bulletproof car up in front. Of course, once again, unless I'm seeing things. Oh, and that is a big mistake there on the grass. We saw that from Verf yesterday as they went for their charge. Unfortunately lost the traction towards the end of their final stint as they caught the cars in front. Touching the grass. Still catching the car and scoring decent points, but not quite getting where they wanted to. There it is though, Terence is into the pit lane on these old tyres. Their teammate 12 seconds back. And Elwain's going to look to try and overtake and make as much of a gap as they possibly can with this undercut. Now, is that undercut going to benefit them? Because Terence now has 4 laps advantage. And from what we saw yesterday, Frantic versus Verth, that 4 laps can be everything. And it can be a massive, massive gain later on in the race. Of course, Sir Maxon and Jericho Willis have already made 1 pit stop. They're going to be good to go for a while, and then they'll jump back onto a fresh set of medium tyres, I'd assume, to take them to the end of the Grand Prix. And Terence needs to try and figure out these tyres, get them warmed up. So Mark Tunick has an opportunity to close in on the Red Bull for a few corners. And there's Isaac on track, and Charlie Bear looking to fight it out, switching positions. There's contact between the two. Oh, and a loss of traction makes secondary contact. Maverick then goes through, and luckily for Isaac, they're still in this race and they haven't lost the car. But Maverick is definitely going to be up next to try and make a threat to overtake. ERS and DRS will be used. It's going to be inevitable to make that pass, but will it be left or right? That's big oversteer on the bank section again. The right-hand side it is, the inside line. We're going to see an overtake in the background as well. And there is going to be a bit of contact as Jolek does eventually get the job done on this fresh, hard tyre. Lovely stuff from many drivers as the contract just been passed by the Alpine up in front, who had that loss of traction, and I'm really finding it hard to explain because we're not in F1.21 and F1.22. So how are we losing the car in the bank section at Zandvoort? Because that's what would explain potentially Jericho Willis's crash, Mark Tunick's issue, and the moment that we just saw from Maverick. But I just didn't expect that to be a thing today. There is a yellow flag. Just for a moment, and now we continue. Mark Tunick with some sort of other issue, and Maverick catches up nicely. Is there damage on that Williams? There is. The end plate on the left hand side is where it's at. It's going to slow them down in this race quite a lot, but they decided to not go into the pit lane, so they're clearly thinking of a longer game despite having the compromised front wing. Terence now 7.1 seconds ahead. It is truly a battle between Elwain and Terence. 5.1 seconds that splits those two. How's that going to change later on into the race? Well, Terence can't afford to let his teammate run away too much, because otherwise the tyre advantage doesn't actually matter. They do seem to be balancing out the gap though, and working with it quite nicely. I am still curious to see how this one goes. It still stays out with this front wing. No contest from Maverick behind. Elwain losing ground to Terence as these tyres are switching. What, 21 out of 36 is 4.5 seconds enough for them to take victory around here? I don't quite know. Elwain, a race winner in LSI F1.5, winning in Saudi Arabia for the first time. for the Williams team as well. But Terence has taken a fair few as well, especially in recent times back in Japan and in Monza. 2 wins in a row for the driver from Hong Kong, looking to try and make it 3. A brilliant competition they've had so far. We continue with this battle on your screen, however, as the DRS games are definitely a thing, and the difficulties of Zandvoort and its overtaking tips and tricks that you need to try and figure out. Such a mystery sometimes, very tough to get done. But as we saw from Samaxon and Jericho Willis, you can make a few unorthodox overtakes to really give you that advantage. 14 seconds advantage, as now Yanaldi's also pitted. Samaxon and Jericho Willis won't be contested if they make their pit stops. Yanaldi might... sorry, no, they will lose the position to Yanaldi and Terence. I didn't realise that was the timing situation, but they'll effectively lose just 2 positions, and they'll try and make more progress back. Yanaldi is definitely still in this race to try and take that victory if their tyres really went well. They are now slightly behind on Marcinek, but with that Williams having damage and with the Aston Martin having fresh tyres, they might be able to quickly dispatch of the blue car in a matter of moments. That's a yellow flag for Chuchus. Hopefully it is nothing more than a momentary yellow flag. So try and get going. And still no overtake just yet from Yanaldi. Allowing these tyres to warm in a bit. Psyching up the battery. And then they will be looking to make the move into the first corner and check out from there. Isaac on track watching this battle in the distance right now. There it is, DRS sweeping through, and big contact right there as Chuchus just crashes straight into the pit lane. I think that might have been intentional. Unfortunately, that's brought a safety car out. Oh dear. I do apologise everybody for that. That does make this race incredibly compromised. Does hinder the efforts quite severely of Yanaldi and Samaxon, who's just made that pit stop, and many other drivers who are all involved in the race. Jericho Willis has got to make a decision on what they do with the pit stops. Well, it's going to be an easy call. It just depends on which tyre they have available. That's all the questions will be asked. I think it's going to be the hard tyre. Elwain, same situation. Terence really has got to pit, I think, as well, and hope that their tyres can last and be better than Elwain to the end. I think if they do stay out, then they'll lose more than they'll gain position-wise. So there it is. It will be a double pit stop for Red Bull, as from what I'd expect. And we do see Terence go in. So Maxon stays out, as is very understandable. But Jericho Willis will retain the lead of the Grand Prix. Will we see Yanaldi get out ahead of the 2 Red Bull drivers? That will be absolutely amazing. They've managed to do it, and they will not be affected. Oh no, they didn't. They had to let Elwain go. Incredible. I did not realise that you would not be able to overtake at that point. I thought you'd have to actually pass the pit lane exit to get that overtake done. Wow, Yanaldi has not been treated very well by the game today. They do split the 2 Red Bulls, and Terence is going to try and take this race to the end on the medium tyre. Jericho Willis inherits the lead of the Grand Prix with a fresh set of mediums relative to the fairly fresh set of hard tyres that Sir Maxon has. And one hell of a mix-up. It's not what we wanted to see, as we had a bit of a burner going on, and it was coming to a climax, and we would have got to have seen the reward at the end for those that tried their very hardest. But now there is a benefit. The drivers have to figure out and react to the changes in the environment, in the strategy, in the cars around them as the order is mixed up, and then make the best of their situation. Jericho Willis has benefited, and so has Elwain. Yinaldi and Sir Maxon not so much, but maybe Yinaldi had benefited actually, considering that they were on the two-stop. They've now found themselves an extra position ahead, as maybe they wouldn't have before. Mark Tunick once again has a full front wing, which is good to see, and they're back in this race, taking these mediums to the end of the Grand Prix. Over P9, and we've got Isaac Track in P10. Crazy Charlie Bear. They're going to attempt a 6-lap-old medium compound tyre, which is going to be very difficult to take to the end. Unfortunately, we do have the ghost car of Jokulamon in the pack, and they are sitting directly behind Sir Maxon. So Elwain's going to lose slightly to the higher tier drivers. Luckily though, it is just the higher tier drivers in front, so they won't lose too much. They've just got to make sure that they figure out the AI car and don't overtake too soon. The safety car comes into the pit lane around about now, and we can go racing at any point. Wait for the engine revs to change. When will they put the throttle down and go? There they do it. Wow, absolutely brilliant start once again, this time from Jericho Willis. Half a second advantage, not too bad, but further behind it's 3 wide, and there's a hell of a mix-up. Oh, absolutely incredible. And off goes the Alpine. Yellow trying to have a go on Yinaldi, and it's all left and right everywhere. Everything is going wrong. Terence gets ahead of the Aston Martin right off the bat. Oh, and there's contact. There's lots of loss of traction. Yellow X off with damage. Mavericks down the order as well. I do not believe what has just happened, because I don't know what's just happened. It was all a bit of a blur. Mark Tunick up to P5 now. Loving that for sure. Terence looking to try and make the most of these tyres at this stage of the race. If they can do so, they need to make the most of them now rather than later, so the tyre games aren't going to be so straightforward for their case. Edvit making some progress and looking to try and do something in their home Grand Prix, and Yinaldi has more problems. Oh, what a shame to see this. They don't believe it. They just don't believe it. You can see the body language of the car. How have they had that safety car restart? Down the order, looking like in a strong position to take the victory, and now they're P last on lap 27 out of 36. Jericho Willis leads the way by 0.8 of a second from Sir Maxon. Elwain's being hunted down by their teammate, who is behind. And Terence has got a bit of pressure from Mark Tunick. They do need to make that move though, because they're not going to beat Elwain when it comes to a tyre battle, hard tyre versus medium. They have to stay in front. They have to have track position. It seems 50-50 with track position and tyre advantage. Sorry, no, DRS. I'm thinking all over the place. So I would say, for Terrence's sake, they need to be in front by the end of the Grand Prix to make sure that they secure this race. So Maxon goes for the move. Here we go. Terence is going to the left-hand side, and they will get the job done. And they'll swoop through on their teammates. Clean air is now theirs. Can they actually make more of this tyre? Now they are in the lead of the train. And the lead for the EU drivers. P1 to Sir Maxon, Jericho Willis in P2. The EU drivers, it's P1 to Terence Elwain in P2. And then Mark Tunick in P3. Edvir hasn't quite been able to hold on to the guys up in front. But these three are all in a train and are going to look to battle to the very end of the Grand Prix. There could be a few upsets. Now Terence does look strong out there, getting that clean air, but the DRS still kicks in for Elwain, and that hard tyre is going to be very difficult to compete with. If these guys switch positions at the end, it will be Elwain leading the Drivers' Championship, leaving Zandvoort. Tunick has managed to make some progress on these guys collectively. We've got Maverick and Isaac on track, also fighting it out, and they switch positions. Isaac just watches Maverick swoop through with DRS to hand, and the tyres are definitely going to be at this stage pro Maverick. Top two running away with it, but looking for a chess game to the end. Like 29 out of 36, still a few more to go. Terence leads with the brilliant livery, almost looking like a completely different team to their teammate behind, who looks to make the move. The outside line is their choice. And it's going to be side by side. A bit of contact, a slight bounce. Oh! And Elwain's not happy with it. Snapping as they go a bit too aggressive on the throttle. Maybe getting a bit of emotion through the foot pedal. And that almost went completely wrong. And gained Mark a free position to P2. Fortunately though, for Elwain and their championship hopes, they kept it in a straight line and they are still good to go. It's much better to lose 4 points than 6. And if that Edvir could make the move, it would be 8. Remember, 20 points for a win, 16 for P2 and 14 for P3. These guys are the top 3 regarding the EU tier, as Sir Maxon and Jericho Willis are higher tier drivers. Elwain, another opportunity with DRS, this time a lot closer, with lots of battery. It's going to be the move regardless. It's going to be the inside line this time, and there aren't going to be any questions about it, unless they miss their braking point and the switchback is on for Terence. That's a bit of a different question, but they do slot in behind their teammate, and they will wait for now. Keeping it civil. But after all of this, maybe Terence's tyres haven't quite been the way to go in the end, which is such a shame for their sake, because considering the circumstances before the last safety car, they were looking to be on a trajectory to take the Grand Prix to the end and be the first to see the checkered flag. Now, although not impossible, it's definitely a lot less likely. Elwain's got to think about a slightly bigger picture and realise that there is a world that Mark Tunick and Terence can fight each other and make their life a lot easier. But considering their tyre situation, They just need to race flat out to the end, because racing flat out to the end is going to be pretty straightforward for them, whereas the other guys, it's going to be a little bit more tough on their tyres. As you can see, the traction is not there anymore, and it is going to just be super complicated. So Elwain will be quite comfortable and confident at this stage. That being said, Terence isn't far away. Edveer P6, after a difficult start to the sprint race and difficult mid of this race, is in a fairly good points playing position. P4 for the current tier drivers, considering everything that has gone on. Maverick in P5, then we've got Isaac on track, followed by Yellowek, who had some great racing and some great pace, but unfortunately hasn't been able to convert it, with a bit of damage to their front wing after an incident earlier on. Crazy Charlie Bear in P10. They are currently being lapped by the top two, but they are high tier drivers and they are very, very good. So I would not be embarrassed at all. You've got multiple championships between these drivers in multiple tiers as well. Elwain and Terence once again fighting it out. The battle of the Red Bulls, the battle of the teammates. They share a pit box. And that's never going to be easy. When it comes to competing with a rival. But with the trait of Terence on their tyre whispering techniques, they may not be so concerned about that kind of thing. And they're still holding up a very good fight despite being on the tyres that are going to be dropping off, and should have been dropping off about a lap ago. And he'll definitely be feeling it. The ERS is being used, the DRS is there. They're not going to be able to catch up enough to make a move into turn one, however. And they will just have to stay behind. Marcinek hasn't been able to hold on to the pace of the top two. Just relentless speed up in front. The two teammates push each other to the end. Opposite tyres, but the same goal in mind, P1. The rest of the field are slightly split up. So this is the closest battle that we will see. And it's a bit of traffic that we come across with Elwain. It is a ghost car. They'll be able to make that move, but they will also get a fresh dose of DRS. Just to be a bit fortunate to them and help them out in this race, which is going to be frustrating for Terence. But that being said, the ghost car being in the way visually for Elwain is more of a distraction. They go for the move, but they go slightly compromised on their line, and now we see Terence potentially having an opportunity to make a move. No, DRS is once again available here for Elwain, and there will be no overtaking attempt from Terence because of that. Absolutely incredible. And I was just going to say Terence will have another opportunity, but they've just made another mistake on the traction, and now Elwain's got a golden ticket to the end of the Grand Prix. 1.5 laps to go in this race, 8/10 advantage around Zandvoort. That is a lifetime, and with grass on your left tyres going for a right hand corner, that's never going to help. It was looking so good, but I think the exit of turn one from Terence's side, with no traction anymore on this compound, the final 2 laps have been their kryptonite. And Elwain is only going to find it more easy. That being said, they've just made a bit of a mistake, or at least the DRS has kicked in nicely for Terence there. I really don't see it being enough though into the first corner. This is their final opportunity to make an overtake into turn one to try and compete for the victory, using the battery as much as they can. They catch up and they arrive to the scene, but it's all too late, and Elwain holds P1. The track position is there. The confidence is there. The tyres are there. Terence, it's been a brilliant battle going from the favourite to the underdog and still being there when it mattered, still giving it a shot all the way to the flag. Unfortunately, it's not going to pay off. Samaxon and Jericho Willis have had a brilliant battle themselves. Very enjoyable to watch in the background as well. Samaxon is looking to take a victory here as they'll cross the line in P1, and Jericho Willis, although 7 tenths behind him within DRS range, making a mistake like that with the tyres that they've got, and the run up to the line is not going to be enough. But it's about Elwain and Terence. Terence not too far away all of a sudden, but I don't think it's going to matter. You'd have to be super close. Elwain runs the final corner, and they're going to take victory here in Zandvoort. Absolutely incredible stuff, and it's a Red Bull 1-2, but it does not tell you the story. Absolutely brilliant stuff from those two. A front row lockout and a front row finish. Mark Tunick in P3 for the EU drivers, followed by Ed Veer at the home Grand Prix, scoring some very strong points. Maverick, P7 overall. They look fairly pleased with that result in the end. Considering the circumstances, I'm sure they're happy to make it to the end. Isaac on track in P8. And it will be Yellowek behind. 7 seconds back, but still scoring points, and it will be P7 for them, considering the higher tier drivers, promoting them to positions. Charlie Bear in P10, and it will be Mullen disconnecting. Samaxon on top once again. Jericho Willis chasing them all the way down, but third on the podium in the physical sense, but P1 for the EU drivers is Elwain. It's Samaxon who takes victory of the fastest lap to help out. It's Jericho Willis in P2, Elwain, Terence, Mark Tunick, Ed Veer, Maverick, Isaac on track, Yellowek, Crazy Charlie Bear, Giacomo disconnecting, with Yanoldi DNFing, as well as Tutus, Jesse Mann and Verth earlier on in this race. The results are exported, and we'll go through the race director just in case, as we might need to do so, although Zandvoort's probably the least likely for that kind of thing. And just one more check through the entire results to make sure that we've got everything. And by the time we got to the end of the Grand Prix, there are no time penalties, with them all being served in the pit lane. Lovely stuff. We'll see you in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Dutch Grand Prix. That was one hell of a race that we just had. Drama all over with some crazy safety cars. But we start with Terence. P2 for you in the end, Terence. A brilliant weekend overall. Some solid points and some insane battling. I know you wanted a bit more from this race today. You wanted to take your third victory in a row in LSI. Are you still happy with that result, or are you a little bit frustrated?
No. To be honest, I'm quite angry about that safety car and the last lap car also. I think the Mercedes. Yep, but um, I mean, Elwing did very clever there to get the main straight there, so I don't have any chance. So
Yeah.
congratulations him. It's quite frustrating as well because I before the race I think I said my tire wear is quite good, but I think they do change the tire compound in Dutch Grand Prix, so
Oh, okay.
it's a little bit different tire wear, but still manage it, and especially with the first 3 lap safety car. So obviously I can do a one stop, but it's just unlucky with the safety car timing because the safety car timing is not my pit window, but it's airing pin window. So I mean, but maybe next time I could benefit from it also. So I won't really judge about that. Yeah, still quite a nice point. I think it's damage limited for the driver championship. Of
Yep.
course, very good for the constructor because he's second one too.
Yep.
I have. Yeah, it's just let's see how big the gap would be at the end of the season. Let's see how the constructor championship goes on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with the momentum that you got, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely insane. But it's a long old season. There's more races this season than there were last time around. There will be more opportunities to gain back on your teammate. And as you said, damage limitation. It was a brilliant race to watch. Thank you very much for entertaining us. And hopefully we see you in Spain for another good race. Thank you very much, Terence. Really well done today. And sorry for the misfortune.
It's okay. Thank you.
And on the other side of it, we go to Elwayne having a little bit of luck with that safety car, but I do want to say don't take anything away from your race. You've still driven a perfect race. Considering the circumstances you're in, it's not easy to change to. A P1 in the end to take it from Terence. You trade victories. A lovely one too. And also with the sprint race gaining a few more points on your teammate, you are now the championship leader. Can you take us through your race?
It was a good race. Well, like qualifying, I done my personal best, so I was mega happy with that. And from there, really, I just had the confidence really in the car. I do like, believe it or not, this is my worst. I don't really like this track, to be fair, but no, the way I've just gone and won it, I'm pretty surprised about it, to be fair. But hands out to Terence because that was a great battle throughout the race. It was just a shame about that last safety car. I do think he would have won it if I would have pit. So yeah, it was a great race. Hopefully have a good one in the next one, especially for the team. It's looking good for the team.
And if it was if there wasn't to not be a safety car, that last safety car there, where do you think you'd have ended up? Would you have gone for that second stop, or do you think you'd have tried to hold it out?
I definitely was thinking of pitting that lap, that safety car come on, or the next one. So yeah, I do think maybe a podium. It just depended on all the other drivers behind how close they were. But like, I do think I would have been able to put it back up to a podium.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, the Spanish Grand Prix up next. It was a race that you just missed out on competing on when you first raced last season. So it's going to be your first time there. I am going to ask, how do you think it's going to go there? Do you think you can take another victory? Do you like it a bit more than Zandvoort?
Yeah. Like Zandvoort and Hungary are the two I hate the most, but all the others I do like. It's just yeah, like this track I have the pace, the next one I don't. So I'll give it a bit of practice and see where I end up. But hopefully, I'm on the top step again.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Owain. Really, congratulations to you today, and we'll see you next time. Well done.
Okay, thank you.
And we move on to the end of the stream. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. That has been the Dutch Grand Prix in LSI. We'll see you next weekend for the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona for another great weekend of racing. Once again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.